So here we have the most successful German tank of the Second World War, the Panzerkampfwagen IV, or the Panzer IV. It was in service from the beginning of the war in 1939 right through until 1945, and remained in service with foreign armies well after the war. In fact, I think Panzer IVs were used in some of the early Arab-Israeli conflicts, and I think they were sold to a whole host of different countries, from Romania and Turkey, Bulgaria, Italy, Finland, Spain, Croatia, and Syria. There were about 8,500 Panzer IVs built during the Second World War, and the Germans deployed the tank in every theatre. So from Russia through to North Africa and Western Europe. So things to tell you about the actual tank itself. Like I said, it was a successful production and went through a number of variants. So starting with the Panzer IV-A, and I think it ended up with the Panzer IV-J. This particular version, I believe, is a H. And so let's tell you a bit more about the tank itself. Weighed around 25 tons, a crew of 5. So in the main hull, to the right you'd have the driver, and to the left you'd have the radio operator and bow machine gunner, and then up in the turret the commander, the gunner, and the loader. In terms of armour plating and protection, so hull armour of about 80mm, frontal armour and side armour around 30mm. And then in terms of armaments, the main gun was a very effective L48 75mm high velocity gun, and additionally the tank was armed with 2 7.92 MG34 machine guns. In terms of power, the tank was powered by the Maybach HL120, which is a 12-cylinder gasoline engine producing around 300 horsepower, and the tank, in terms of suspension system, was the leaf spring suspension system. So the Germans valued their tank crew, and particularly as the war went on, because it was more difficult to replace a crew than it was an actual tank. So they valued their lives, and so as you'll see in this tank, there are a number of hatches. In fact, every crew member had an individual escape hatch, so that if the tank was hit, they could all get out as quickly as possible. Sadly, this wasn't the case with many Allied tanks, and there are plenty of stories of Allied tanks being hit, bursting into flames, and the men burning to death because it was impossible to get out of the tank in time. The Germans, I think on most of their tanks, adopted this idea of having individual escape hatches for each crew member, which is a good idea. Other things on this tank that mark it out as the later version are the up on the turret and on the front of the tank you've got these additional pieces of armour plating and skirt armour. This particular tank doesn't have the side skirting that appeared on these H versions, but this was added as a convenient way to improve the armour protection of the tank without having to sort of really completely redesign it. So they bolted on these extra bits of armour plate.